a lot better than it does. Got this amazing view of, well, it's amazing here, of Manhattan from Williamsburg. I thought that'd be a good backdrop, but can't even tell what the fuck we're looking at. We'll get closer to the river. We'll see what happens. Just, I don't know, I wanted to shake it up a little bit. I was gonna go to Washington Square Park, maybe I should have, but I've just been going there every day, and I thought, I don't know, let me try different part of town. I want, but I want to be in nature. I want to be in trees. So I'm like, oh, am I missing out? I need to see those West Village. In New York, you really get it's really about 2 weeks a year where it's really nice. And it's usually in April. I think it's a little bit delayed this year. I'm going to try to get one of these picnic tables or something over here. With a nice background of the skyline for everybody. We'll see what happens. Maybe I can sit next to this picnic table right here. See how this looks for a sec. Yeah, thank you for tuning in. I don't know. We'll see how this goes. How does that look? It's kind of nice. It's kind of perfect. I just want to be kind of near. How is the reception for everybody? Am I glitched out? Am I... Oh, God, why do they have a fence here? It's like you should be able to get there from here, vice versa. I could just sit in the fucking grass, I guess, but I do want that skyline. I mean, it's so blown out. Okay, well, anyway, I'll be moving around. We'll just start here. We'll see what the fuck happens. It just doesn't look the same in the camera as it does in your head. Anyway, how's everybody doing? We're just have so much to freaking talk about today, like usual. We're just gonna trauma dump and just stream of consciousness here, kind of try to come up with... Okay, so I guess my most recent thing, I've been going to Peculiar Pub, which is my favorite. It reminds me of college, because it is college. I guess it's part of my midlife crisis. Well, it reminds me of Ohio State, and particularly this bar, Bernie's, where we played Bernie's Bagels. I don't know, there was something about... It's like the 20th century going in there, because everything's made of wood. Everything's all carved up. It's still pretty affordable. Like last night I got this chicken wrap thing and fries. It was $10 cash, no tax. And with a $2 tip, like that's as much as it costs to go to Chipotle at this point. And you can, they're nice. They let you sit there. And I was just sitting there in my sort of college flashback. And Bernie's was like it became real gnarly. When we were playing there and when we were in college, it was pretty gnarly. I mean, it was like kind of a heroin punk bar. I mean, the bathroom was fucking... That's what we liked about it. It seemed like just like a real place. There weren't really cool bands doing shows there, but we liked playing there. It was in a basement on High Street that they bulldozed this beautiful apartment building. It was like this sort of like fake Tudor. And Bernie's was in the basement. It was like the Cavern Club, man. Come on, you motherfucker. Oh, this is a hallmark of good videos when you're fucking with your iPhone tripod. Alright, let's just put it there, see what happens. Okay, we're sitting in the Bodhisattva Grove here, everybody, under the tree. It's time for the teachings. This is the stupid Stupid human tricks of the mind. Um, so I was looking through my new thing is I'm kind of like, because I need some kind of big project. You need to aim big, and so I've got this. Basically, the thing I've been working on for the last few years, right, is this New York book, City Life, which is a compilation of all my zines. And so I think I printed this like last year, like August or something. Maybe it was a little after that. I don't remember exactly, but I haven't looked at it that much in the last few months because I've been kind of just, I don't know, doing other stuff, and in the meantime I've published 2 more chapbooks, 60 pages each. And so, I think as an artist or whatever, it's good to let things sit for a little while and see how they feel after, a little bit of time. And so it's been, like I said, it's been like 6, maybe 9 months or something since I published this. And I've been sort of debating. First of all, it's just hard to edit. The formatting and shit is super particular, and I did it last year and I forgot how I did it, and you have to go in and export a PDF to a certain size and blah blah blah. And so it's like it's very painstaking to like to tweak it. And so, being the procrastinator that I am, I was just like, you know what, fuck it, let me just walk away. I just want to be out in the world, and I really just don't like working on the computer that much. At least, there's a limit. There's a limit. That's why I still write by hand. I mean, I do think that's something that's different than a lot of writers now. I think a lot of writers write in their phones and write on their fucking laptops, and I think that's fine. I think that's totally great. I just can't really do it, or I don't know. It's my rebellion, my 20th century. We got to go back. This century sucks. The cloud sucks. The metaverse sucks. The evaporation of everything into the fucking cloud. But in any case, these books are, an attempt to get my notebooks, and it's just a collection of the zines, right? So it's almost like when they come out with like the Amazing Spider-Man collected Volume 1. It's just all the comic books. It's bound in one volume. But the idea is, it's like, I have the Paris book, I have the San Francisco book, I have the LA story book. Those were almost like little studies where I would go to a place for a few days or a month or whatever and just kind of notate it. This is like pretty much a 5-year uninterrupted New York residency, where it's just like I really want that whole kind of density of the experience. I want it to look like that experience. And sort of, it's almost like a Polaroid developing or something, seeing the narrative and seeing what you lived through and what you wrote down and what you thought was writing, and why you approached it that way. And so, it's auto-fiction. People don't really use that term anymore, I guess, but like, it's so entwined with my own experience. It's almost like a scrapbook of moments and memories and witty quips and turns of phrase and epiphanies and things were thought, And so the idea is, it's kind of an experiment. We're just collecting all this research over years, but it's also, I really want it to be just like this mega fucking novel. Like, it's sort of a postmodern, it's unreadable. It's unreadable. And so last night was the first time I'm sitting in Peculiar Pub and I'm sort of going over my script or whatever. And I'm just seeing what I've got, for the first time. Because I've been living more with the like the Vigilante Justice book and the Casbah Doggerel book, which are my 2 most recent books. and sort of being away from the older stuff. And now it's a few years in the past, you know, things like 22 and 23, which are like the middle of this book, the end of this book, are like, you know, 2 and 3 years ago at this point. And so that experience is etched in stone, right? Like the paint that was wet has dried, right? Like when you have these notebook pieces and you read them at an open mic as they're new, to me, that's what I like. Something fresh, topical at an open mic, comments on the day. It's my monologue, it's my 2 cents, and it's also my recent narrative, my recent life story, at least little racy piece of my biography. Serial installments, you know, it's an autobiography in these kind of serial poem installments. And there's prose embedded in the poem, and there's all different kinds of forms, although most of it, like Manhattan, I just wanted it to be columns of fucking notebook. And so the form morphs around a lot, but it's meant to be sort of like a miniature model train set of Manhattan in the sort of in the Biden era, the dark brand years, and all of the characters running around, and the ghosts, and the celebrities, and the friends, and Ashley, and so it's interesting now, and it's crazy to be hit in the face with the realization of like, this is it, this is my life, you know? I used 5 years of my life to do this. Smoking weed, distilling it down to the honey of the essence of the fucking pulp of the fucking juice. Economize, you know, truncate. Can you make it shorter? All right, I'm gonna try to get one of these tables. Somebody moves. I'm gonna try to get this table. Come on, gotta hurry. Okay, I'm one man. I need an entire picnic table to myself here, of course, obviously. And so, yeah, I'm just seeing, what the hell do I have? Does this translate? Is this what I think it is? Is it fucking readable at all? You know? And the answer is, I mean, kind of. It's a crazy fucking book. I guess, you know, I spent my 30s being avant-garde. That was my sort of like, put upon, contrived effort to just be, I don't even know what, some kind of imitation of 20th century yesterday's dad rock. Because I don't know. But in your own way, and, you know, allowing the new experience, and, you know, allowing all that in, and trying to make it reflect the times and reflect the fucking speed of consciousness now, and the angles, and the panopticon of perspectives, and have it just be a bunch of fucking social media posts in a certain way of moments, and dinners, and food, and whatever the hell is in here. You know, I wanted it to be a map of New York City. You know, it includes a lot of streets, a lot of fucking psychogeography and navigation. And let me smoke this before it all fucking falls out. But, like, kind of the big surprise to me about it is how much of it is about goddamn stand-up comedy. About halfway through, it like takes this turn, and there's all this fucking one of the chapbooks that I thought was particularly interesting and strong, although the point of it is they're all kind of different. It's like chapters in Ulysses or whatever. I mean, Ulysses, they're very different. They're, you know, it kind of fluctuates, the form and the readout of the kind of like psychograph, and I just want to take the course with that and allow it to happen and capture it as it's happening, just like this, just like my vlogs. This is just a vlog. It's just like a giant vlog. It's meant to accompany my vlogs. You know, the idea is, and my sort of my probably dream project, or like what I should have been doing, is like reading the notebooks over my vlogs. That's what I try to recreate with the live shows that nobody comes to. And what we'll be doing at Anthology Film Archives on May 14th, reading the poem over the vlog, so you get the sort of whole consciousness of what you're seeing and the inner monologue in sort of a extremely streamlined, highly entertaining, at least trying to be, version, as entertaining as possible. And I'm probably going to show the Valentine's vlog if Ashley is watching. It's 13 minutes long, and I think it fulfills all the requirements. It's recent. It's brief, sort of. It has performance footage. It has Ashley reading and other things. So, you know, when I came back to New York during the pandemic, my self-conscious project that I wanted to do was like a Lives of the Poets sort of like epic series, where you know, I just made what we know now as vlogs, or what I now sort of like, you know, jokingly or like patronizingly, condescendingly refer to as vlogs. The idea was to collect sort of growth of a poet's mind as it was happening through vlog footage, and film the scene, basically film conversations between poets, adventures, and document. You know, there's a lot of shows about comedy that are like that Crashing show. We watched that movie a few weeks ago with John Ritter played a stand-up comedian. Martin Short plays this. Martin Short is really funny in it, actually. He's very interesting in it. I forget what it was called, but it's like, you know, it's some fucking movie they made about being a stand-up comedian, like, in the fucking 80s. And so there's a lot of sort of like Bildungsroman type stuff about that lifestyle. Seinfeld, right? Louis. It's like it's always about being a stand-up comedian. I guess probably because they're obsessed with themselves. And, you know, that's been part of my, you know, this was way before the election and the manosphere and everything else. Was just like tracking that kind of like fracture and that kind of fault line between poetry and stand-up comedy, and try to invade those clubs. That's one of my big takeaways in this, is just like a lot of the writing, I just feel younger. I feel young in a way that I don't know. I feel like the moral arc of my last 5 years, I don't know. Now I feel like, I don't know, broken, middle-aged, beaten, compromised. I saw this video of Miles Davis. TikTok keeps showing these Miles Davis interview videos. Because he's, I don't know, he's like the ultimate master or source of wisdom or whatever. And he's like, I'm all fucked up. They fucked me up. I used to be young and beautiful. I used to be handsome. You know, when they fucked me up, my face. But he's like laughing about it. You know, he's sort of like, I'm all fucked up. And it's when he's old, he's like, right here, where the cop hit me with a nightstick, my hair still hasn't grown back. Maybe that's just what really doing life does. I mean, look at John Mulaney. Look at his fucking jaw. How does he not have like some kind of like explanation or like joke about that? Like, he's just gonna go on stage now with that fucking jaw and like not talk about it? He looks like fucking Joe Camel. It's like, come on, dude. Well, but all I'm saying is, like, if you're living And if you're really doing it, just uses you up. Look at Dylan. Dylan has got all kind of weird health. You know, he almost died from some kind of weird infection from like chicken droppings or some river or something. Apparently he's got real bad tinnitus. But he just keeps on trucking. That's just what having a body is, I guess. But it just like, it particularly hit me in this last year. You know, I've just been hit with the fucking maturity train. And I don't know, I see pictures of myself from a couple years ago, and I just look younger and stronger, and my body's kind of, you know, my diet's plummeted. I haven't been walking as much because of my fucking leg. So let me get on the internet and bitch about it. So this book kind of tracks that pathetic. Is this like horrible fucking, like, why is nobody watching? Is this unwatchable or something? I had a couple of comments about there's somebody man-eater or something in the comments talking about how the video goes out or something, or went out yesterday. Yeah, I mean yesterday my battery just died. If my fucking thing just cuts off, which it has been doing, like yesterday, I think I don't even think it got to the 10% warning. And all of a sudden my phone is just like, nope, sorry, we're done. Oops. Peace out. Peace out. And just like folded it up. So I apologize to all my fans. This reception must be horrible because no one is watching this. I had a couple people watching. I guess they probably have better shit to do. Hopefully they're outside fucking enjoying this. You know, these are meant to be kind of enjoyed later, maybe at night. I just like doing them during the day because it's when my phone is just rapidly deteriorating for some goddamn reason, and so the battery like is not really lasting as long as it used to or should. So I'm doing the best I can. I think my stream yesterday was like 44 minutes or something. Pathetic. But I also think maybe it's good to give the audience a break and do things of different sizes. I've tried to do that with my vlogs recently, is vary the sizes up, not just make them all huge. Like most of this book is just this kind of like midtown. It's just skyscraper, all around you, you know. And New York there's a lot of neighborhoods, there's a lot of nature, there's a lot of different forms. That's one of the things that's like impresses me about Ashley's book. Looking through Ashley's book, Glib, which is coming out in May. She's got a lot of forms. You know, she's got couplets in certain poems. She's got there's a lot of things. And, you know, I kind of allow my forms to shift organically, responding to whatever my life is. And part of the point of this book was embracing readings and long oral poems that are meant to be like podcasts, that are meant to be like stand-up comedy specials or bits or something. Allowing that part of the culture in. Although, you know, to be fair, this book does have a lot of different forms. It's not just, or art forms. You know, like there's a lot of stuff about System Lord and band practice. I'm constantly going to band practice in this. So music, you know, clown stuff, movies, obviously. And so, you know, I'm kind of disappointed with my life and what I've allowed it to do over the last 2 years. But I've also just been fighting to preserve what I have as far as like just keep the books coming out, keep the vlogs going, keep the Monday night going. You know, I do get on stage 4 hours every Monday night, and so I'm very lucky and I'm very grateful for that. Even though I've kind of, you know, you know, about halfway through this book, it's just like I'm so gung-ho about, like, I want to go to every open mic, and I just got so out of practice doing that. Now I'm kind of intimidated. I don't know how people are going to react if I show up. You know, most of the mics I go to now are like secluded, off the beaten path. Nobody's there. Because to me, they're just kind of practice. You know, with poetry open mics in particular, it's like I kind of just got out of... Just seemed like people didn't appreciate it. And so what's the fucking point? And that's also probably another big arc in this book, is like you see me sort of turn away. I think that's what the stand-up comedy thing is about. I'm like turning away from poetry world because I feel complicated, you know, it's just complicated. Especially at this time, you know, poetry world is so extreme in its beliefs and who is platformed and who's accepted and what kind of work is platformed and accepted. And on the one hand, a lot of it is really boring and homogenous and old-fashioned, and on the other hand, a lot of it is very exclusionary, and so it's hard to know where you fit in that world. And so apparently I fit in stand-up comedy land with all the people who grew up watching toxic Adam Sandler movies, and I don't know, in some weird way I feel like I've been in some kind of like a Clockwork Orange, you know how they hold his eyes open and they show him all these fucking movies. That's been like the last 2 years, except it's Neil Simon movies. It's just like, Prisoner of Second Avenue, The Out of Towners, oh my god, The Odd Couple 2, no more. Or more. I love it. Please just let me veg out. Let me eat fucking shitty food. Go to fancy restaurants. Well, I like the idea of just having like that's like Letterman wasn't going out and doing fucking stand-up and shit. You know, he had the Ed Sullivan Theater. He did his fucking show. I mean, granted, he was on 5 times a week. But I do one show that's 4 or 5 hours long. It's kind of the same. And then I do these. You know, these are my home video distribution systems as a sort of a long, you know, to me, this is, I think it, you know, it's good practice going into these stand-up rooms and like playing hardball with these guys. But they do play extremely tough. And so it is different than poetry world. And, it's just hard. I just got out of practice. You know, it costs money every time you go, and so it's like you do got to build up a tolerance. You got to build up like a callus a little bit. It has taken me a few years to get used to people insulting me on stage, and realizing, hey, it's not a big deal if some comedian goes off on some like ridiculous, incredibly distasteful, politically moronic rant about whatever the fuck, wanting to have sex with his cousin or whatever the hell it is that they spew, you know, the toxic pollution that these people spew into the mental environment. And so I've been trying to figure out, you know, how to do what I do. And you know, a lot of times if I were to really do what I want to do, people at open mics would lose their fucking mind. They'd think this guy's nuts and what the hell is this, you know? So the Monday thing is more of a laboratory. It's a place where you feel safe. And so it's like a comfort zone, I guess. It's pathetic in that way. But it's also been, you know, if I had been out doing a bunch of other shows, you know, to be honest, I haven't missed a Monday ever. Knock on wood. I've never had to cancel or call out or anything because I've been very lucky about, you know, not getting sick and things like that. And just, it has been a little bit, the last couple of years have been like, I'm going to be committed to this and consistent. You know, every week I'm going to show up and try to deliver a high standard and put as many of my ideas into it as I can and help people have as great a performance as they can and boost people and network people and get people. Is this super laggy and shit? It probably is. Fuck. Should I move somewhere else? Is this laggy? It's feeling. Is that laggy for you? Um, and so, just trying to maintain that. And I don't know, there's a mystique. I, I sort of doubled down on, like, if I only appear on Monday, people have to come. But that's not true. That's not how it worked out. Is this very laggy? It feels like very laggy. Is that very laggy? I think it records in a way that's like not laggy, but might be appearing laggy. I mean, there's only one fucking person watching anyway, so I don't know. Like, would it have been better if it played out differently? That's the other kind of like bookend of this, and like thing that makes it our arc is now Trump's back, right? And it's been such a fucking ugly disaster so far that our world is just descending into this darkness and chaos, and so it feels like that is part of the journey as an entertainer. How do you participate now? There doesn't seem to be a lot of comedians taking any kind of political responsibility, and poets are also kind of irresponsible and up their own ass with their own kind of like self-centered politics. And so I don't know. Part of the intention of this book was to kind of embrace the misanthropic Bartleby attitude of just like, fuck you, fuck everybody, whatever your expectation of me is, like, that I'm not going to do that, And I do think with the Monday thing, people expected me to be like I am on stage, super positive and super supportive and that's who I wanted to be. And when I moved and when my life circumstances changed, everything shifted. But also everything shifted in the world. October 7th was not long after that. That was the Ukraine thing starts early in this book. Ukraine, that was 21 or 22. And so it shows up like in the second or third chapbook. And then, the Israel-Palestine thing really erupted kind of around the same time that like campaign season and Trump coming back. And so, is that what I thought the last 2 years of my life were going to be about? No, I thought it was going to be just going to open mics and being on tour all the time in New York City and having a great time and being in Brooklyn and during the summer and shit. And it wasn't like that. It was more like this weird exile and but also, still maintaining the work and writing and publishing and doing, like I'm proud of the readings that I have done. I ran into an old friend, I won't name names, at the open mic on Monday. They came out, and it was just so funny because they just gave this kind of rapid fire assessment. Like, that's the thing that kind of drove me nuts about all the attention in the beginning, is like people, there's this public narrative that forms about you, and I guess that's just like part of your responsibility if you want to be in the limelight or something, or if you want to make money by like being an entertainer or whatever. Is like, that's just part and parcel of it, is like people are gonna react if like you're an asshole in real life, or if you get a big head, if you get a big ego, like. And so they start to keep track of that stuff, like there is some truth to the idea that like people like to build you up and tear you down in this. And I wasn't as good at tending to the flock and participating and supporting other people's shit, and you see that deterioration in this book. That's life. You have a fucking plan and you do the best you can. You get as much done, you fail better, right? if you get 40% done of what you set out to do, it's like you still did some shit. I still have this book. I still have an incredible video library for people to revisit. Watch the open mics. You can watch all of them. They're all on YouTube. Literally all of them ever. There's tons of old live streams. They're just as interesting as this. There's tons of old vlogs. There's tons of readings. There's tons of music. I try to put the whole multimedia universe available for people for free on my fucking YouTube page, and it's an archive, and it's the body of work. And if you can't be there in person at the live dates, I try to do as many live dates as I can. I think we're all like live performance junkies in a way. It's like that's what they say about acting, right? It's like you get the acting bug. I think there's totally an open mic bug, and a poetry bug, and a hosting bug. And we're super spreaders. We're trying to infect as many people as we can. And we're just a box of broken toys. That's what Colbert said about, God damn it, this fucking thing better be working. I mean, I did get one like, so I'm assuming that it's like at least like legible. Maybe I should start walking in a second. This fucking joint is just totally falling apart, so. And so, there's more characters in this book than are necessarily in this book, although there's a lot of chapters in the book. There's a lot of different moments. The beginning is very historical, very solitary, very West Village. And I included like a transcription of a vlog, which that's one thing I do wish the book had more of, is like just different approaches of composition. More kind of shapes on the page, although that's all in there. The chapters do all have their own individual shapes. The big thing I realize is like it kind of needs my last two chapbooks to complete the story, or I don't know, whatever it does. It just, I mean, I think for so many reasons. Like this moment in this sort of year, the Trump reascension has kind of like indicated to everybody that like we've turned a page. There's some fucking new shitstorm that we're in that just sort of came out of nowhere like a squall. Is this fucking lagging? I can't tell. Check one, check. And so, I'm just sort of coming to terms with what I've actually got here and who I actually am as a writer. Like, I get it. A lot of this stuff is unpublishable. There's a lot of gibberish in it. There's a lot of, quote-unquote, language poetry. But I try to make it colorful and cartoonish. It's another way of sort of, like, making the language cartoon. My frustration is that I'm not able to just like give people my notebooks, because that's really what they should be reading. This is just like kind of a digitized, it's sort of a compromised version, but it's its own thing. The typeface, the black and white, the Helvetica, it's all, and there's occasional drawings, and the covers are in here. And I think it's an easy read, but it's also a complicated read. It is meant to be just like these seeds of bursts of like insight that just keep happening. It really reminded me of the subway, because it's just like there's always more trains coming in, and it's just busy. There's just this train comes in, and then 1 minute later another fucking train comes in, the next line. So the lines are all like trains. Some of them are longer than others. Some of them are the G train. And, it was really only by being immersed. Are people going to be bored of this? Probably me talking about my book. So, I don't know. Maybe now that Ashley's got her book. I'm trying to, I don't know, figure out what I've got here, if this is worth. I mean, I just can't help it. This is the way I write now. I chug THC and just like I heard somebody say something about, I forget what it was. When they play music, it's like it's no different than when they're masturbating. It was maybe it was from that Philip Roth thing. I read this thing about Philip Roth, Sean Thor Conroe, talking about how he went to some Philip Roth fucking convention, Philip Roth Con in Newark, New Jersey, and he wrote about it Gonzo style for the Paris Review Daily. It was pretty entertaining. I think somebody was talking about how Philip Roth wrote. The second half, the article sort of talks about when Philip Roth turned 50, he sort of detached from society. He when he was younger, he was very like involved. He lived in Manhattan. He would get, he'd go to Elaine's. He'd get stories from people, and those stories go, he was constantly asking people questions, listening, and that stuff went in his books. But when he turned 50, he like moved up to Vermont or wherever, New Hampshire, I think Vermont. And he had, some kind of like very secluded, isolated life. I'm sure he saw people. He wasn't like J.D. Salinger or something, but like he had a stand-up desk, and he basically just committed to like, I'm going to try to be as great of a novelist as I possibly can be. I'm going to write every day, 4,000 words. I'm going to read all the shit I need to read. Stendhal and fucking Crime and Punishment and all this, whatever fucking novel is going to help, Philip Roth is going to be the Tiger Woods of novelists, where like he's just going to go for it. He's going to try to be the best fucking, that's what he's going to do with his life. And he's Philip Roth, so he can. And he's got this sort of rolling, career that's insane, that everybody wants. I've read a number of Philip Roth books. I enjoyed them, but I don't necessarily, the last one I think was The Human Stain. I read that in like 2013 or 14 or 15. It was good. Now when I read sort of the synopsis of it, I'm kind of embarrassed. Coleman Silk, like, kind of embarrassing. It's like Bill Maher probably loves it. Maybe it's too deep. It's probably too deep for Bill Maher. But Philip Roth was kind of like the gold standard. So anyway, I think somebody in the article talks about how Philip Roth wrote novels as if he was masturbating, which obviously is a very apt metaphor for Philip Roth because it's a hallmark of the work. But is that bad? Is that a bad approach? I mean, to some degree, if you're playing for no audience, if you're doing open mics, if you're doing live streams, no one is watching. If you're writing poems that just like nobody likes and nobody wants to publish. But if you're enjoying it and you're getting, I mean, to me, it's like I have impressions about the world and how to fix it, what's wrong with it. And the work is sort of like a living example of how to be that way. Write these notebook poems about your awareness, about being present, about Zen practice, or whatever the hell it is. Just stay in flow state, stay creative, stay expressing and cathartic and whatever. Just stay generative. I think the audience and the capitalism of selling and garnering a huge... This is why Adam Sandler's have the lowest ratings but the highest box office. Because, lowest... I don't know. To me, there was an intention to be highbrow and to be unreadable. Illegible. That was the impression. I think one of the big influences on this book is E. Cummings in a weird way, and probably a contrived way. Is like, that's a lot of what I get when I read E. Cummings, is just the way he's fucking up the typeface, but also he makes it difficult. He's making you go back and go back and go back, and he's defacing his own shit and I guess that was a response to World War I and whatever, I don't know, Cubism and all that. But he, he's a nice influence because he's not really situated in any of the schools, but he kind of has things in common. Like, he's a New York poet. He's sort of a New York school poet almost in a lot of ways, but that's not the only thing, and that's not the overwhelming thing. He has these other kind. It's almost like Kandinsky or something, Chagall. There's all these other colors. And is this all fucked up? I keep seeing blur, and maybe I should walk to just get some variety. This is theoretically a good background, like in theory. And so, I don't know. It's, all that stuff is in there. The paintings, the texture, the surface. At least that's what I thought I was doing. Now, like I said, the paint is kind of dried on this, and I'm sort of looking at it, and it's just there on the page, like it's some old book, and I'm like, what do I really have here? Now that all the experience is gone, and the parade's gone by. Movies are like that too. When you're making a movie, I'm sure it's such an intense, labor. There's so much that's not on screen. Going to the location, all the hours with the crew, all the stuff off screen. And the experience you're trying to put in pictures. You're trying to internalize this three-dimensional kind of immersive psychic journey into another person just through this flat. That's one thing that's remarkable about this to me, just how flat, when you're in it, when you're living it, and when you're writing it, and especially when it's in the notebook and it's hot off the presses, hot off the page, and you're just reading at an open mic or whatever for the first time. It's just amazing how alive and three-dimensional all that is. And now looking at it just feels very flat. But I think that's also important. That's the nature of all this art. At one time it was very fresh. Edgar Allan Poe was like, holy shit, look at this. Annabelle Lee or whatever. Isn't this fucking some hot shit? Isn't this hot fire? And now it kind of looks like antiquated slightly. Trying to just fucking live stream my nuts off here so I'm not smoking. But let me give you a little of the opposite view here. Now we're in nature. Nature is healing, as you can see. Nature is healing, as you can see. I got nobody watching. Is this just like unwatchably laggy? It's my poetry lesson. Shame no one is watching. I must have gotten like banned from YouTube or something because it's so shitty. So yeah, I mean, we're not really sure what the next fucking phase is, but I'm proud of my New York book. I think it is one of the great New York City novels. In its own way, it's as good as Bonfire of the Vanities. It's my underworld. And I don't know, it was my best attempt to be all fucked up and postmodern and shit. And post. Or whatever the hell that means. Just respond to that. I mean, I guess they did that already. The 20th century was a fractured... What the hell is this one? What is the 21st century? It's even more fractured. But that's not really the way people write anymore, and... I don't know. I think this was the book that needed to be written about New York at this time, and I'm proud of it. It does just tell a lot of the story, my life experience, and what the hell else do I need to talk about? Let me consult my notes for a second. I know people are loving me jabbering on about my own poetics. Keith Sweat. I wanted to talk about Keith Sweat. I think Keith Sweat is like the best stage name. Or is it his real name? There's no way his real name is Keith Sweat. It once again proves my theory that the best stage names are like things. The best stage name, like Sweat, is like that. Everybody knows what that is. but it has this dirty kind of connotation. I guess that's essential. We know what Keith Sweat is doing to get all sweaty. It's implied. It's implied in the name, Keith Sweat. It's just the greatest. It's the greatest name, Keith Sweat. And it feels like when was Keith Sweat around? Like the late '80s, early '90s. That's pretty early to be Keith Sweat. That's a fucking suggestive name. Keith Sweat. It's fly. Yeah, so I'm talking about my book, City Life here. I'm just giving kind of a director's commentary. You know, it is just like a complete rip-off of everything I've learned. It's meant to be like a ballad. You know, a lot of these poems are ballads. They're meant to be these long oral performances in bars. I'm working the clubs in New York, you know. We're working the clubs in New York. You know, how laggy is this for you guys? Like if it's laggy. Is this unwatchably laggy? We're sponsored by 365 Spring Water. We're actively seeking a place to live if anybody has a place to live. Just comment, leave a comment in the comments. Yeah, so we're live here from the shores of the East River, the river that is east. In Whitman-esque Brooklyn. You know, so I don't know. It's all in there. Edwin Denby, Ron Padgett, Whitman. It's kind of clipped. Schuyler, right? Of course. Bernadette Mayer. There was an article in the New York Times a few years ago about best New York City novels. They did a whole series. So like. That was on my mind while I was doing this. I was like, oh, I need to write like a not. So it's there are things about it that are like prose-like. The long columns are sort of meant to read like fucking Carl Theodore Dreiser or what is that? John Dos Passos, Manhattan Transfer. Don Powell, the Warhol Diaries, or Andy Warhol like transcription novels. Hannah Weiner. All that shit. I mean, you know, combining every influence you've ever had. Philip Whalen, Alice Notley, obviously that stuff. John Godfrey. All of the New York school stuff obviously is always there. It's always like at the forefront. But, you know, bringing in the stand-up comedy stuff, that was an effort to get something else in there. You know, to put a new, that was something else I think I saw in a Miles Davis interview on TikTok, was he was talking about how like painting or doing something, doing another kind of art form, like opens things up for him in music, right? If he spends time drawing or painting or writing poetry, it can change the way. And so that's one of the reasons why I started doing the comedy thing, because I was like, you know, I'm middle-aged, let me try something new. Let me try to learn something new before it's too late. And it's still just now I'm asking myself, like, why do I do this? Because it's just like the fullest way and most industrious way for one person to like present themselves on stage in our society. There needs to be other forms. That's also a big part of what this is. It's like it's a hybrid, and it's a combination of poetry, stand-up comedy, storytelling, performance art, whatever the fuck, you know, music. The sound is like a huge part of it. The way it looks on the page is a huge part of it. It's literary, it's literature, it's paper. It's meant to be read. It's meant to be this sort of like scattered narrative, and it's a puzzle, you know, and all the pieces are scattered in the box, and you gotta fucking put it together. Like Agatha Christie or one of these fucking true crime things you fucking people love so much. This is like unwatchably fucking laggy. Is that why people are leaving? How many times am I gonna say that? Smoke every time Matt Proctor says Is this laggy? Hopefully later this will be watchable. It's watchable now from my point of view. It's flowing. Flow state, you know. It's such a huge part. Improv, yes-anding. That's all in here. But it was also, you know, it was a 10-year journey of like working the clubs in New York, playing music, playing free jazz, going to Poetry Project, listening to readings, hanging out with poets, living poetry life, learning what the hell that is, you know, saving money, working out the notebook thing, reading every goddamn thing, collecting all these insane poetry books, you know, reading fucking Joanne Kiger and all of that. You add that to your style. You add that to your style. I mean, this is how people are becoming stand-up comedians. You know, they watch every fucking special ever and they say, you know, and they start to become consumed in it. But I wish there was another way. That's part of the laboratory on Monday, right? Is like we're trying to create a third stream where it's like you don't necessarily have to do comedy. You don't necessarily have to do poetry. You can do like a spontaneous oral. That's what this is about. It's like, I guess you're just trying to sound smart. But it's art. I don't know. Like, why can't like a generative conversational monologue be artistic in the same way a poem is, or like have those colors, have those shades, have those other, like a jazz fucking, you know, composition, rather than, you know, stand-up comedy is more like pop music or something that is like rehearsed and, you know, edited and cut down, and it's not going to waste any of your time. You know, it's going to be in and out, and every joke is going to have a punch. And so, you know, the embracing the multimedia and the multidimensionality of that, of all things, and friendship and nature and living and sun, you know, whatever, flowers. But like all these things were always happening: songwriting, making films, shooting video, writing prose, writing plays. Like I was saying the other day, I had somebody unexpectedly say they came out to the open mic when I did the 10-minute play, which I thought was just something that was forgettable and fucking like, just kind of, you know, something that not necessarily went flat, but it's like, okay, let me just do this once and never do it again. But I'm like, you know, somebody remembered that. Maybe it's worth repeating. Maybe I should try to improvise another 10-minute play. So yeah, we're trying to like pioneer, you know, the poetry is just sort of like the most highly edited, like best of like the thoughts. And so that's what this is. It's like the best of my life. All of the best thoughts, all of the funniest, you know, remarks. It's what do they call that? The table talk. The table talk of W.H. Auden. The table talk. So I don't know. I mean, in my head, I thought this was like gonna be the fucking thing that like the New York Times is like, holy shit, look at this. This is one of the best New York City novels. Now I'm looking at it, I'm like, I don't even know. I don't even think anybody could read it. Or I mean, the right people could read it. There's a lot that's off-putting in it, you know, about sex or whatever. Vulgar language. That was something about Philip Roth that they were saying is like, you know, when he wrote Portnoy's Complaint, society was not like pornographic. It was very like straight-laced. Whereas like now, there was an article in The Atlantic I saw the other day about, you know, the world is shaped by pornography, and pornography is just everywhere you look now. And I don't know, does that make it less interesting to write about sex? I mean, to me, I think it was important as a male at this time, as stupid as it sounds, to just like take ownership of like heterosexuality or like my own sexuality and that's what everybody else is doing. It's about pride, right? And so, that's, like I said, this is my spitting in the face, biting the hand that feeds, or I just have to be resist expectation or do the thing that's going to make it the most difficult, make it the most, I don't know. That's like Catholicism or something. The Pope died. It's just like siding with the lepers or the fucking, the outcast. Or that's like a Whitman thing too, right? Like he's constantly making a point of like he's with all the most fucked up, like rejected people, and that's where he'll find him, with like just like the most downtrodden, the slaves and the whores and the whatever the hell, the people that other people judge. This is probably super laggy. God damn it. Maybe I feel like if I get walking, I'm not gonna find another place as good as this, but my battery probably will run out in the next 20 or 30 minutes, so it might be nice to just have a change of scenery. I don't know, fuck it. Just gonna sit here, I'm enjoying it. If it's laggy, it's laggy. It's stutter edit. It's like some kind of techno. This is like EDM shit. People love that kind of glitch. People love glitch. They love glitch. People love glitch. So, glib, summer, glitch art. Yeah, so I wanted to, like I said, I don't use the computer. There's a few things in this that are like typographical, kind of abstract expressionist spasms on the keyboard. Playing free jazz on the MacBook. God damn it, why are you lagging? This is supposed to be Transmitter Park. What the hell are these things? Is that that's some kind of solar panel, I guess? That's not like a 5G tower. I need like a smooth fucking stream for my 2 YouTube fans. God damn it. Bruce Halliday and Adam S. need this. God damn it. Maybe I'll come live with one of you guys. I did see this thing, they're doing this poetry tour across America. They got like a bus or something. Thought maybe I'll just join that. Yeah, so let me blather more about my New York Times best-selling poetry, New York mega novel. It's completely incomprehensible. Hey, it's like Gravity's Rainbow, right? But nobody can read that either. That's like the best book, is like this book that's just like, wow. It's really like fucking Sound and the Fury. Good luck. Good luck figuring out what the fuck is going on in that book. It's the same thing. Same thing. Same here. I am same person. It's a fragmented, non-linear, choose your own adventure. In my head, I was thinking, well, you can open up the book anywhere and start reading it, and it's going to be interesting. But I'm actually, when I was reading it last night, and maybe it's just me, but I was reading it like linear. I was reading it like it was a novel. I was reading it like, I jumped in the middle, but like, and you could do that, but I was reading it in order and reading it kind of fast. That's kind of how I wanted to be. I wanted you to be able to read it fast and for it to kind of skim. like a DVD remote, no flipping. In Click, we watched Click with Adam Sandler, the perennially relevant actor of his generation, Adam Sandler. But I also wanted to be like, well, any wine is something that you can sit with, even though they're all crammed together, like in New York. Everything is just fucking crammed together. I think that's what you like about it, you know, if you're into that sort of thing. It's just like there's everything here, and there's so much of it. It's the ultimate mall of humanity, you know, and that there's just abundance, abundance, abundance. If you got the money, honey. It's like a human fucking Walmart. It's a superstore of culture and so these are department stores, you know, of poetry, full of merchandise, intellectual merchandise. And it is a panorama of the scene as best as I could do. You know, maybe not everybody's included. Maybe I missed out on a lot. I had my own world. And we're playing the long game here, you know. 2 years is not that long of a time. And I keep seeing these John Lennon interviews too on TikTok, and there's one where he talks about, because these John Lennon interviews, it's like he only did so many, so like the ones that he did have been like quoted to death, and there will never be any new. And his point of view was so interesting. It's kind of a shame, you know, his way of telling that story. And McCartney's like that now, right? Like, it's still interesting to see McCartney just in the world and live and all of that. And he's talking about, like, in the early days, he was creatively dominant. But then in the middle, he's only sleeping, right? But toward the end, like he said during the White Album, he sort of started to dominate again. And the others got nervous. And I just think that's interesting. That, first of all, that he thinks that, but also that, like, you know, he was there the whole time and he was a part of the Beatles and they were putting out albums, but at the same time, he was sort of like, you know, like if you look at Revolver, there's only a couple John Lennon songs, I'm Only Sleeping and Tomorrow Never Knows and maybe Dr. Robert or Bird Can Sing. I guess there's a few, but it's not like, you know, I don't know, 8 fucking songs or something. It's like 4. It's surprisingly few. And they're not, I mean, other than Tomorrow Never Knows, it's not like, you know, major fucking Strawberry Fields Forever or whatever the hell. And so, I don't know, that's just how it goes, you know, it's just like there's periods where you're, you know, there's bear market and there's bull market, and you try to make money off both. And I don't know. I guess it's hard, you know, to not get pushed around by life. And I don't know, particularly the open mic host position. That's part of what's interesting about it, is you are sort of opening yourself up to all these people. This fucking thing is getting slow. Let me get some other fucking scenery going on here for a sec. I don't know. I don't need to be taking up this whole fucking table now that all these people are showing up. Maybe I'll just sit in this fucking lawn or something. Fuck. There we go. It's on a beautiful downtown Williamsburg. Look at that. I don't know. I'm trying not to be an old fogey walking around and just hate on everything new. Williamsburg has become like Beverly Hills. Like, it's like Rodeo Drive. There's all these fucking... Everything's just like some kind of like high-end fucking clothing or shoe store, or I don't know. It's like this Rialto. Williamsburg has become this Rialto. Can you see the Freedom Tower there, everybody? No, it's absolutely. Did I smoke that whole thing? I don't know what happened with that. All right, I'm gonna go up here. This is kind of a surreal landscape. There's all these fucking picnic tables. This will be good. This is perfect for me. This is like Michael Mann Heat at the drive-in. I've been just thinking about Pacino. I think Pacino is just such a perennial, goated influence, and because he plays jazz with the dialogue. And as a reading, like when I was reading on Monday, I had this moment where I said my life going from 0 to 100. And at that moment, I was like Chris Farley and I was Pacino. And I'm just, Ricky Roma, the way he slides along that language and just like, oh, did I upset you, Dave? His line readings are just so, is it laggy here too? I'm trying, it's this goddamn Williamsburg. It's this goddamn Williamsburg. If you do not have the goddamn leads, but look at all these picnic tables. I guess it's not as surreal as I thought. If you do not have the goddamn leads, we're desperate. It's desperate. I gotta close them. I gotta close these. Give me the premium leads. Yeah, so here we are, beautiful downtown Williamsburg. I don't know. I got a harebrained idea to come out here today, but I might have to go back into Manhattan. If you do not have the goddamn lead. So I've been trying to embrace that approach to reading. That was, with poetry, you're just kind of pigeonholed in this very like solemn reading style, and it's expected, and you're rewarded for that. And maybe I just can't take anything seriously. I don't know. Maybe I do need to get in touch with that side of myself more. Maybe that's what poetry's for. I don't know. It's like I want to write from what my life is, and my life has become like this fun celebration of just a festival of the mind. And I don't feel ashamed of that, and this is a commemoration of that. And I tried to live the fuck out of it. It's not easy to get around the world these days. It's expensive. Everything's expensive. You got to have this real ID to fly now. I don't know if people have seen this. On May 7th, you got to have a real ID. I don't even know what the hell it is. I think you have to have. I don't know if I could get one. You definitely have to have an address. Who knows how much longer I'll have an address. So you can't fly domestically without a real ID. So it's like, I don't have a passport, and I don't have a real ID. Oh, this is so fucking laggy and shitty. I'm so sorry for my fans. I'm trying to do something new and experiment with people, but we're doing the best we can. So it's going to get harder to travel. The other countries aren't even going to want us. I don't know. There's something weird with New York this week. It's very empty, actually, in a weird way. Like, I don't know, just walking around and stuff, there's just way less people than you would expect, with all the weather being as nice. I mean, the open mic was well attended. It wasn't packed to like the gills, but it was, it was busy. And, but a lot of the other stuff I've been to, it's just weird. There's just kind of like this kind of eerie emptiness. And I'm like, is this because Europeans are not coming here, or are tourists not coming here? Like, did everybody leave? Like, usually this time in New York, it's like very, very bustling. Or I don't know, maybe it's like it's been really nice out, right? But yet it feels like there's nobody out, really. I don't know, maybe I'm just imagining that. But it's felt kind of weirdly, compared to the last few years, kind kind of dead. I don't know. Should I try one of these other benches? How's the reception for everybody? Well, you're still watching, so I'm assuming that it's doable. Even with this, I'm getting a little lag. It's my lag test right here. Not that that really helps or does anything. We're promoting city life. I'm doing an inside the actor's studio with myself. What is your favorite word? So yeah, I don't know. I wanted to write the book that I wanted to write. If whatever that means, that's the hill I'm gonna die on. The I did it my way hill. For better or for worse, I followed every stupid idea I had at once. And did it in sort of like a incompetent, well, I don't know. It's not like other poetry. I don't know what the hell it is. It's just, it's somewhere in between. I'd like to think there's enough that's, it's experimental. That's my excuse. You know, there's a lot of stuff that probably could be cut, but that's also kind of the point, is it's meant to be just like this. I don't know if that's an excuse though. You can't just say, well, this was, you know, this is what I was trying to do. You know, it's like something either works or it doesn't, but I don't know. It's, in some aspects, I want all of experience to be in there. And so that includes, you know, there's this line about Bloom defecates in chapter 12, right? In Ulysses, there's a part where Bloom takes a shit. You know, that's hard. I don't know. That's kind of unsettling, or it's unbecoming. It's you know, it's dirty. It's filthy. It's not really what poetry has become, like this dainty, especially now. You know, where it's like New York is just so braggadocious with, oh my God, it's wealth inequality in your face. I mean, the buildings are literally a visual representation of wealth inequality. You're seeing, you know, there's a lot of homeless people this year. The crop is strong, and there's also I'm looking at one right now, this giant fucking super tall. Look at this. I've got 6 people watching somehow. I'm not sure. Look at that ugly ass. It's a you know, an abomination overshadowing the okay, I've got 20% battery, so I'm gonna probably get off pretty soon, or it might just die. If you know, if my live stream just, you know, croaks, everything's okay. I haven't been abducted or anything. It's just my phone died, and I'm kind of embracing my phone dying. It's kind of nice. I think that should be the new thing. Just turn your phone off. There's no law that says it has to be on. Just turn it off. You know, you don't need to have it on. Just turn it the fuck off. You know, turn it on twice a day or something. It's that simple. Oh, how do I keep from just turn it the fuck off? Or just run the battery down by live streaming till it dies. And then fuck the bill collectors. When I was a little kid, right, when you're having dinner and shit, all the bill collectors would call. Oh, don't answer it, it's bill collectors. Just unhook it. Just fuck them. I'm just kidding. You have to be a responsible adult and pay your credit card payments. Pay your Visa, MasterCard interest rate. Yeah, so anyway, what was I talking about? Wealth inequality. Oh yeah, so I don't know. With poetry, it's like such an debutante ball of art washing. And, oh my God, I saw the worst human being on my way over here. There were people standing in the corner for like Planned Parenthood and like that, you know, anybody that's standing on the corner like trying to get you to fucking donate money or something, it's like, it's annoying. And in New York, it's like, you gotta be dodgy and you gotta be an asshole kind of and just ignore the fuck out of them. But that's okay in New York. You're allowed to do that. That's the protocol. But this guy is like this Planned Parent guy's, hey, he sees him coming down the street. Hey, do you have a minute to talk about whatever, you know, women's rights, birth rights, or whatever the fuck it is, reproductive rights? This guy's like, no. Do you have any time? No. You don't have a minute to sign it? No. We're going to stare at women's bodies in the park, is what the guy said. And he had a big beard. He just looked like a fuckface. He looked like a hipster fuckface. You know, it's like this thing where like the right wing dresses like the left now. I feel like that's Williamsburg. You know, Williamsburg in my time, and not, like I said, I don't want to be the old guy that's like hating on it or whatever. That's like, this place sucks now. Because it's like, I don't know, there's still cool shit. Pete's Candy Store, fucking Spoonbill and all that shit is still here. Union Pool. And this is nice, but I wonder if this is going to be watchable later. But it's like all these, you know, finance fucking douchebags and all that shit. So, and right-wing objectifiers of women, apparently. Going to the park to stare at women's bodies. Like, wow, you're a fuckface. It just like, he's IRL trolling, this guy. He's just trying to get signatures for fucking Planned Parenthood. In the age of the repeal of Roe v. Wade. So anyway, I, you know, cross the other side because I don't really want to deal with any of that. But we're talking about my new, for those just tuning in, my new book, City Life. I'm giving sort of my inner thoughts about the editing process. Join me on my journey as I complete my poetry novel, experimental, illegible masterpiece, illiterate. My illiterate master. I'm trying to promote illiteracy through reading. You don't have to be good at reading because it doesn't make any sense anyway. Half of it is just gibberish that I overheard on the train. I was like, I'm going to turn that into noise music on the page. It's noise music. How do you not get that? Maybe it's not the greatest noise music you've ever heard, but there's noise music in this book, okay? It's the new dad rock, as we know. As a glib has told us. So yeah, this is my QVC for my new book. There's some good shit in here. And it's the whole journey, you know, Cafe Life, Chelsea Girls, Price Fishing, all the hits, Saratoga Branch, The Crying Game, AmVets, Hotel Empire, Bright Lights Big City, Pink Tax, Daily Chant, Gramercy Spire, you know, all of the hits, FEMA Coffins, all this Time Life compilation, Hit Piece, Appalachia Sound, Palabra Express, Vocal, Huge Ego, Jack Welch Algorithm, Strand Pleasing. The other day I was reading Rat Billings, St. Anger Snare, Zero Cool, Church Island Blues Rap, and more, and more. The other day at the West Park, I was reading, because they have some books there. That's where I got the SNL oral history book. They had Jack Welch's, or Bob Iger's autobiography in large print. So you know some old fucking asshole was reading it. Some old white bastard was reading it. Some old capitalist cocksucker. Give me the large print version of the Bob Iger book about how he took over Disney. It's an interesting. I'm sure he had a ghostwriter, but you know, all of these CEO guys like have books. Like maybe I should just start reading like all the different fucking douchebag. Who's the white Zaslav or whatever? Jack Welch's book. You know, all these like CEO class. Does Larry Ellison have a book? Just the, you know, or like that movie Barbarians at the Gate. That was about some guy who was a CEO of RJ Reynolds or whatever. It's an insight into that elite class of people who runs everything. And, you know, Trump, the billionaire presidency, is just getting more and more fucking flagrant and entrenched. And so there was a window into, he started out as ABC Wide World of Sports with Roone Ulrich. And he talks about the Millennium broadcast. He had this vision of like a simultaneous 24-hour, we're going to do midnight from every time zone, uniting, you know, all the, you know, this is broadcasting, ABC. he rose up through ABC Wild World of Sports through to become like, was he president of ABC or something? And then Disney bought ABC. He had to kind of put Roone Ulrich in his place. He's like, Roone was kind of skeptical of his idea, and he kind of felt like he'd been passed over and his time was past. Because his protege, Bob Iger, had become his boss. Whereas he was still just broadcasting like Monday Night fucking Football or whatever. Or the Olympic, or whatever the hell they do. And so he's like, he had to call Roone Ulrich and be like, motherfucker, this is how it's going to be, bitch. This is the idea. This is what we're doing on ABC. Simulcasting the millennium at midnight, Y2K. That was Bob Iger, everybody. That vision. And as a content creator, we're all sort of Bob Iger now. We have just as much a chance. So anyway, Disney bought ABC, and his boss was Michael Ovitz. So he talks about how he worked under Michael Ovitz and Disney. Disney is psycho. Just the whole culture of Disney. I can't believe Disney is as powerful as it is, to be honest. Just on fucking cartoons and animation. Like, how the fuck is Disney like the #1 entertainment juggernaut? I have no idea. But they are. And the power of animation. The power of, things that aren't real. The power of the fucking metaverse and shit. So he talks about Michael Ovitz was really, he learned a lot working under Michael Ovitz and going on all these fucking, just going to work with him. And Michael Ovitz was really preoccupied with the theme parks. He said, Iger handled like ABC and ESPN and Disney International. Oh, fuck, I'm on 10%. I know this is a real crucial information for everybody. This could die at any time. And then Ovitz handled like the theme parks and the domestic and the animation. He wouldn't let Iger go anywhere near the animation. He boxed him out of the animation. But he would send him to China. I guess Bob Iger has been to China like, 80 fucking times or something. Building Disneyland in China. And Euro Disney, and he was in charge of like expanding the theme parks. Apparently the theme parks are like a huge fucking source of revenue. The whole Disney theme park culture is really crazy and nuts. And probably one of the few things artistically or creatively that like really thrives. I don't know, just like the whole machine of that. And they bought fucking Star Wars, and Disney Plus owns Hamilton and shit. And so I don't know. I'm trying to learn how to be a high-powered executive to play hardball with the network. And so I don't know. I just started reading this fucking book about Bob Iger and just how he had, sometimes he has to be the bad guy. That's how it is when you're, CEO of one of the most powerful entertainment industry corporations. It's just so funny to me that Michael Ovitz and Bob Iger are running around making and obsessing over like decisions about like Disney World, about like little fucking cartoon characters and like castles and like rides and shit. They're like the most corporate, like suit wearing fucking like cold-blooded, ruthless, like finance capitalist kind of dudes I could imagine. They're trying to figure out like what they should do with Mickey Mouse and fucking Donald Duck and shit. Iger said that Michael Ovitz had this incredible eye for like the parks. He could see when the landscape, it's like there wasn't enough bushes or this thing's not painted right or whatever. He saw the whole picture. I thought that was kind of interesting. It seems like Ovitz wanted to live in the theme parks. And apparently the networks like suffered. ABC like really went in the tank when Ovitz was the president. It went from being like the #1 network to like last. And so he got fired eventually. He could see the writing on the wall. And so Bob Iger took his job. And he's still, I mean, Bob Iger is still like, what? He's still the fucking head of Disney, right? I mean, he's the one responsible for them buying Star Wars and making it shitty. Surprise, surprise. All right, well, I have less than 10% battery, so maybe I'll get off now. Thank you guys for watching. We covered a lot of ground. I hope this isn't laggy. I hope it's not blown out or anything. Is there anything else I need to talk about? There probably is. There's just, we take it as it comes. But thank you for watching, and I'll try to get back on tomorrow. We'll see. We're taking it one day at a time here. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. And pre-order my book, City Life. I'm working on it now.